feel like you're going to be able to handle that pressure going in? You're walking in where everybody's expecting you. First, they look at, as professionals, they look at the amount of money you're making. Then they say, okay, let's see what the value looks like. Does it put additional pressure on you?
Well, I think in terms of pressure, if this relieved any, I think it relieves some of the pressure just from knowing for sure where I'm going, getting this behind me. I think I'm just now beginning to walk into a situation where there's going to be added pressure to perform now on the football field. And that's inevitable. That's going to happen, as you well know, as a quarterback, no matter where you go, whether you were the first player chosen or the 16th, there's going to be pressure for you to perform. And all I can do is my best. And I'm going to go out there and do the best job I can and try to please myself as well as my teammates. And I certainly don't want to get in a situation where I'm trying to please everybody, fans and media, because you'll drive yourself crazy trying to do that.
Well, you've got a guy, I think you're one of the young quarterbacks that's coming into a situation with an opportunity a lot of people don't have. You get to turn around and hand the ball to number 34, Herschel Walker. Have you thought about what that's going to look like, or have you had a chance to work out with him at all?
I haven't had a chance to meet Herschel or talk to him, but I grew up watching Herschel at Georgia, and it's going to be a great experience for me. I think with a running back like Herschel Walker, it'll help make that transition for me a lot easier. He's a great player, and with receivers that they have at Dallas, certainly there's some great talent on that team, and that'll certainly help the burden.
Troy, our best wishes to you. First pick in the draft, I mean, that's something you probably thought about maybe a couple of years and tried to get out of your mind and said, my goodness, it's pretty lofty status. You've earned that status, and we look to see you in the Cowboy colors for a long time. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, Troy Aikman, quarterback, UCLA. First pick, already signed, sealed, delivered to the Dallas Cowboys. When we come back, the Giants will be up next. Stay with us. Nonsense guy, 6'5½", 280. Joe Wolf has played every position on the offensive line. With since you're going to the Giants, you might have to do some of that. If rather than Phoenix, he might have to move around on their line. He could be the best lineman ever at BC, some people say, which is a heck of a moniker to carry around. The youngster from Allentown, Pennsylvania, goes to the Phoenix Cardinals, and so the Cardinals in Eric Hill and Joe Wolf didn't pull any surprises today. Let's go to the podium because the Giants are next. And if they're looking linemen, it would be Brian Williams or Wisniewski from Penn State. Of course, they went two offensive linemen with the first picks last.
New York Giants, first-round selection. Brian Williams, guard, Minnesota.
Also, the Giants,
next up,
who went Eric Moore and John Elliott, offensive linemen 1 and 2 last year, and now going with Brian Williams, who's a 300-pound guy that can play tackle, guard, or center. He's just a great athlete for Minnesota. 6'4", 300 pounds. He's a good deep snapper. He's a solid pass protector. The young man from Pittsburgh. You know, the Giants lose Billy Ard to Green Bay in not the dispersal, but the free agent draft. Carl Nelson may not be able to play for him anymore. This seems like a good pick for the Giants, who've had some offensive line problems, if you listen to Parcells.
I think it's an excellent pick for the Giants. And the thing that you like about this kid is, as you said, I mean, you know, you get a good 300-pound offensive lineman. It's a guy who's going to be there for the next 12, 14, 15 years.
They are counting on that. A guy who has been with us almost that long on draft day, the inimitable one from Sports Illustrated. Usually I reserve that, Paul Zimmerman, for Tom Meese, so I don't know if you're sharing that.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either, but we're going to look it up. I brought my thesaurus in the back. Your thoughts on the first round lasted a couple hours. The Jets pulled a huge surprise, didn't they?
Well, there are two big surprises. Number one, Lageman gone. Number two, Andre Rison still hanging out there. I looked up Lageman in the meantime, and you know, I expected to see some numbers in the workouts that just jumped off the board and popped everybody's eyes open. But the guy, he ran 21st best of the 40 guys tested. Granted, he's big, but they drafted a big guy, Alex Gordon, a couple of years ago, and he didn't do anything. So it's a mystifying thing unless there's some sabotage afoot there.
What picks jump at you that you really love? I mean, at the top 5 and 6, we kind of knew. I guess New England got great value a couple moments ago with Dykes.
Well, the top 8 or 9 were chalk. Miami surprised people by taking Sammy Smith. I think that's a great pick for them. I think they can get a defensive player, a good defensive player in the second round. There was no real game-breaking defensive guy available, so they took the offensive guy, and I think that's great. And I think their offense will really be dynamic, and they'll luck in maybe to a defensive guy in the second round. But I sort of like that, going for the quality.
Z, what about the almost situation that we had with Jim McMahon almost becoming a member of the Chargers?
it would have been madness for the Chargers to trade for him. I think Joe called it before. I mean, you're getting a guy that might give you 5 games.
I mean, you say Sammy Smith is a kind of a gamble, but you like that pick for Miami. The Bears, you pretty much knew would go Wolford. And Trace Armstrong, he's kind of a Dan Hampton clone in his work habits, right?
Well, one thing about the Bears picks, they're always safe. You always get big-name guys from big-name schools that aren't going to hurt you. Maybe they take a little while to develop, but you can almost chart the way they pick. You know, they don't get the guys from these way-out type schools.
Do you get in a situation, Z, where there are some athletes left on the board right now that I think the later teams never really expected? You mentioned Oliver. We've talked about Andre Rison. Does this change the situation for somebody like New Orleans who really didn't think they had a shot at maybe a DB where they need some help?
Well, New Orleans figured offensive line, defensive line. They figured they get some nice big plow horse type of guy, and here's Andre Rison jumping at him. They don't really need receivers that much, but how do you pass them up? But of course, I could have been asking that for the last 5 picks.
They certainly could use some speed receivers, and that might be the case with Rison. We shall see. New Orleans is up next, and we'll continue with Dr. Z and the rest of the festivities in New York and points beyond as our live coverage of the draft continues.
We got 2 Jet fans. You could say the most controversial choice in 1988 was the choice of Senator Quayle for vice president for the Republican Party. But that is mild as far as the Jet fans are concerned. The pick, first round, a linebacker from Virginia. Doug and Tim, are you upset about the Jets picking, in your opinion, although I don't know what any of us know, the pick they did in the first round?
You know, I looked through Sports Illustrated, Sport Magazine, ESPN, Associated Press. Nobody had him in the first round. He's listed as the 7th. The NFL Combine says he's the 7th ranked. This guy is nobody, and I don't know why they didn't trade him away if they wanted him.
How do you feel, Tim?
When you have talent like Andre Rison and, you know, Louis Oliver still available, I mean, why not take them? I mean, the Jets need someone that will make them a team of the future. This guy does not seem like a person that will help them in the future.
Have you been happy with the Jet picks in the last few years?
No, I haven't. I've been coming since '65 when my father got tickets. I was 4 years old. I've had season tickets since. And it's annoying because Joe Walton shouldn't be the coach. We need a real football man. All right, but we need a real football man as a general manager anyway. And I'm sure you wouldn't argue that when you're talking football, you have to have a football man running the team. And the Jets don't have that now. And that's why they come up with picks like this. And I just want to say hello to Section 208 and my brother Dave.
Okay, well, we have that. First, it now looks like the Steelers are going to get Andre Rison, which will make them the winners in the first round. Back to Bob Lee.
He's hanging out there. Whether he goes that far down remains to be seen. We have had 18 selections, 8 defensively, 10 offensively, as Jeff Lageman, good ball player, not projected anywhere near where he was selected and taken by the Jets, the 14th pick, the first Virginia draftee by the Jets since they took Lester Lyles back in 1985. There's some big names out there. Okay, Louis Oliver has plummeted. Andre Rison, not nearly as much, but Oliver had been talked about as one of the 7 samurai at the top of this draft a couple of weeks ago.
He's a fine football player. When you look at Oliver, he should be in this general
area. But why is he
right
plummeting?
Now. Well, people look at pure safeties and they downgrade them. They'll take the cornerback over the pure safety. What teams did to allow Rison to slide down this far is go strictly for their major needs. Teams took Joe Wolf. Teams took Brian Williams. Clubs like this. And, of course, the Jets threw the whole first round out of kilter with the Lageman pick. But Andre Rison is an outstanding football player. If you even look back into history, when Jerry Rice came out, he went in the mid-first round. You had that year Toon, Brown, and Rice. None of those 3 went before the 10th pick in the first round. So wide receivers tend to slide, but it's allowing the Saints, it's allowing the Broncos and clubs like this to get a real steal at this point in the draft.
Okay, we're waiting to see what happens with the Saints, a team that lost 8 veteran free agents to the Type B free agency. We really have yet to delve into that. We will through the afternoon. The effect that some of these selections in the later rounds will have Type Bs. New Orleans is up with about 6.5 minutes to go before their selection. We talk about the fortunes of players rising and falling, and then there are players who just want to get, as we watch the Saints, want to get into that first round. It's prestige and it is money. One such player is a cornerback from North Carolina Central, Robert Massey, maybe on the bubble as it comes to being projected as a first-rounder. And with him, spending this draft Sunday with him, is our Jimmy Roberts in Durham, North Carolina. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Bob. How are you today? We're down in Durham, North Carolina, as you said, at the home of 22-year-old agent Drew Rosenhaus, representing several of the players here in the Triangle area between North Carolina State, North Carolina, and Duke University. Most notably,